The Man in the Iron Mask, a royal secret buried alive. A man, imprisoned for over 3 decades, moved from fortress to fortress, always hidden. His face never seen, his name never spoken. He wore a mask, and he died wearing it. This is not a legend. This is one of France's most disturbing state secrets. Today we unravel the truth, or what's left of it, behind the Man in the Iron Mask. In 1669, in the heart of Louis XIV's France, a time of absolute monarchy, grand palaces, and brutal power, a strange prisoner was transferred to the fortress of Pignerol in the Alps. He was not a criminal. He was not condemned by court. He had no known identity. He had no name. And yet, he was guarded more carefully than anyone else in the kingdom. His jailer? Benigné d'Auvergne de Saint-Mars, a loyal servant of the king. What made this prisoner different? He wore a mask, not just a cloth or leather hood, but an iron mask, so heavy it left marks on the skin, so secure not even the guards could see his face. Only Saint-Mars was allowed to speak to him. Even his meals were passed without words. And so began a life of silence, lasting over 34 years. From Pignerol, the masked man was quietly moved to the fortress of Exil, then to Sainte Marguerite, an island off Cannes. Each time he moved, the secrecy grew. No name in the records, no face shown. Saint-Mars never left his side, not even once. In 1698, he was transferred again, this time to the Bastille, the most feared prison in France. By now, the masked man was old. He rarely spoke. He never wrote, but still, he wore the mask. In 1703, the man died. He was buried under a false name, Marchiali. His cell was immediately cleaned. Every item he touched was destroyed. His walls were scrubbed. Even his plates were melted down. Why? What did he know? Voltaire, the famous philosopher, was one of the first to popularize the tale. During his time imprisoned at the Bastille, he heard rumors from guards and officials. The masked prisoner, they said, was someone high-born, perhaps even royal. Voltaire would later write, "He was tall, noble in bearing, and spoke with refined manners. The mask was not iron but velvet, but he was never, ever seen without it." So, who was he? Historians, writers, and conspiracists have proposed dozens of names. Let's explore the most serious theories. The first, and most famous, is that the masked man was the king's twin brother. Louis XIV, the Sun King, was born in 1638. But what if he wasn't alone? What if he had a twin, a second child, a second heir who could one day threaten the throne. Imagine a world where two princes are born. To prevent civil war, the second twin is hidden, perhaps raised in secret. But as he grows, he learns the truth. Maybe he demands his right. Maybe others seek to use him. The solution? Silence him, imprison him, mask him, erase him. It's poetic, it's tragic, it's cinematic, but the timing fits. And the secrecy? Terrifyingly real. Another theory suggests the masked man was Count Ercole Antonio Mattioli, a diplomat from Italy. He had betrayed Louis XIV by leaking secret negotiations to enemy powers. His punishment? Erasure. He was captured and disappeared. It fits with some of the records. And the name Marchiali may have been a twisted version of Mattioli. But would the king go so far for a foreign diplomat? Would he spend 34 years hiding his face? Unlikely. A third theory, more romantic and more dangerous, claims the masked man was a noble or courtier who had an affair with Queen Anne of Austria, mother of Louis XIV. Some say he was Louis's real father. Others say he was a scandal the court could never risk exposing. It explains the level of secrecy and the rage of the king. But again, no proof, no name, just echoes. Then there's the wildest theory of all, that the real Louis XIV died or vanished young, and a double, possibly the masked man, had been raised in secret as a puppet. Over time, the real prince demanded to return, and so was hidden forever. Too far? Maybe. But the idea of royal replacement isn't new. It happened in ancient Egypt, in Russia, even in France later on. The mask was not just to hide his face. It was to hide the truth of who ruled France. What is certain is this: the prisoner existed. He was moved multiple times. He was always accompanied by Saint Mars. He died in 1703. His cell was erased. No portraits, no remains, no letters. Even the king's own court avoided the subject. No one ever admitted who he was. Centuries later, we are still guessing. Why does this story grip us? Because it touches our greatest fears. To be erased, to lose our name, to live behind a mask with no voice, no past, no future. And it whispers about power, the kind that controls truth, identity, memory. The mask is a symbol of monarchy without mercy, of secrets too great to speak, of a human soul reduced to silence. In literature, Alexandre Dumas turned the tale into a masterpiece, where the mask hides the king's twin, wrongfully imprisoned. Hollywood adapted it. Conspiracies continue. But behind the legends lies a terrifying fact. A man lived and died, masked and forgotten. And someone, perhaps at the highest level of power, wanted him erased from history. We will likely never know his name, but the mask endures, a symbol of the unknown, of a truth too dangerous to reveal, of a man buried alive behind iron. If you walk near the ruins of the Bastille or feel the cold echo of stone walls, ask yourself, who was he? And what was so terrible that it had to be locked away forever?